Demand for product owners has skyrocketed by over 30% in 2024. So companies are absolutely scrambling to fill these roles as they realize how crucial skilled product owners are to their success. So right now is the perfect time to be a product owner. So in this video, I'll be sharing 7 essential tips to mastering the product owner's role. With the help of my new book, Understandable Agile for Everyone, whether you're already in the product owner's role and just want to improve, or whether you're looking at becoming a product owner, these will help navigate the complexities of the product owner role and lead the Agile team to success. So what is a product owner? It's the person responsible for defining the vision of the product and making sure it aligns with the customer needs, defining what the customer problems are, what they want, and the business's goals. So today, being a product owner means being a visionary, a strategist, and a strong communicator, and they're absolutely essential for driving that product success. So as a product owner, you need to understand not only the technical or functional aspects of a product, i.e. how to use the product, but also understand the market landscape, what the competitors are doing, get that customer feedback, listen to their stories, what customers need help with, what they would like improved in the product, and of course, the overall business objectives of your organization. So in today's fast-paced, competitive and technical environment, mastering this role is absolutely essential. To be a product owner, you want to be someone who can bridge that gap between what the technical agile team is building and what the stakeholders and business actually want. So you're not only ensuring that the products get built, but also succeed in the market. And as a product owner, you'd want to be someone that can collaborate with everybody. You're not a lone wolf. They tend to work closely with developers, designers, marketing people, and even external suppliers if they need to make sure that that product meets the market's needs. With the ever-changing technical landscape, you also need to have the ability to adapt to changing conditions, prioritize, and communicate effectively. And this is more important than ever now. So this evolution reflects the growing recognition in the business and digital world of how critical the product owner's role is in driving that product success. So what are the 7 tips for becoming a successful product owner? Well, number 1 is understand your stakeholders. So what is a stakeholder? Well, it's someone who has an interest in what you're building or what you're doing because it either affects them directly or indirectly. So if it affects you directly, well, it's probably affecting you that way because the change in the product or the launch of that product's having an effect on your role. So for instance, a CEO or a product manager, they might have their own KPIs depending on the success of that new product, and therefore it affects them directly. There might be stakeholders that have an interest in that new product but are affected indirectly, like the introduction of that product might affect their daily workflow. There might be new procedures they have to follow. The product might also have a legal or compliance element to it, so that would indirectly affect the legal and compliance stakeholders who need to have some input into ensuring that the legalities and the compliance aspects are dealt with correctly. And there might also be external stakeholders like suppliers or regulators that need to be across what the new product is to make sure that it is built correctly and that the right services and technical elements are supplied for that product. So as a product owner, you need to ensure who the right stakeholders are and that they are actually being engaged regularly. So how do you do this? Well, you ensure that the right agile ceremonies or meetings are being held when they're supposed to be held, and that as a product owner, you are attending them. So these might be regular daily stand-ups, or they might be when you conduct the demonstrations or the show and tells to the business about what the progress of the product is. So it's essential for the product owner to be engaging these stakeholders at these points, so any issues that can come up early, okay, not too late. And that's the beauty of Agile, because we see any issues come up early. So essentially the product owner needs to be able to communicate all of these issues as they come up. And transparency is the key here, which builds trust. And of course, trust goes a long way into managing the expectations of those stakeholders. In my book, Understandable Agile for Everyone, I talk in detail about all the ceremonies, who attends them, when they occur. So please have a look at that. Tip number 2, learn how to break down high-level business goals into the lower-level tasks. So what I mean by this is we're taking, say, a high-level business objective. So if I was to use an example of a coffee shop owner, the owner of a local coffee shop, they might have a high-level business goal of wanting to increase customer satisfaction and loyalty, okay? So you can see by the nature of that, it's a very high-level, very vague, but high-level business goal. It's broad and doesn't actually have the specifics of any actions or how it's going to be done. It's an overarching aim, but it actually guides all other decisions, okay? So if we were to take that high-level business goal of increasing customer satisfaction and loyalty, how do we achieve that? Well, one thing we could do is implement a customer rewards program. So implement a customer rewards program is something we would call an epic. This is actually a large body of work that supports that business goal and can involve several features, okay, of which this is one. So if we take that the next level down, in order to implement a customer rewards program, we might want to develop a digital punch card system, okay? So you're familiar with the cardboard punch cards that, you know, the barista punches when you buy a coffee so that you get either points or a free coffee when you get enough points. Well, this is a digital version of that. So this level is called the feature. So we're talking about the functionality here, the customer-facing functionality. So this is the digital punch card system, which is satisfying implementing a customer rewards program. So in order to develop a digital punch card system, we might want to go down a next level to talk about what the customer can do with this functionality. And that creates what we call a user story. So a specific user story, which is written from the customer's point of view, might be something like this. As a regular customer, I want to earn points for each purchase I make so that I can receive a free coffee after collecting 10 points. Okay, so most of you would be familiar with this because you've experienced this, but in an Agile project, we still have to make this obvious what we need. So as you can see, we've broken down the highest level business objective into an epic, which is broken down into a feature, and then into what the user can do with the product in order to fulfill that request, okay? So this breaking down, this hierarchy, makes it easier for the team, the Agile team, to manage all the tasks that they need to build in order to deliver it and test it, okay? So not only is the breaking down important and understanding that hierarchy, but mapping higher goals to smaller goals and stories, and understanding which stories and goals have dependencies and which are dependent on each other will allow the planning and prioritization of the work to be built, because we can't build everything all at once. So I talk a lot about this goal decomposition in my book with very relatable examples, and also talk about how these goals are mapped out in story mapping as well. So please take a look at that, because I think you'll find it very valuable, actually not only just for Agile, but for everything in business. Tip number 3, master the art of prioritization. Not everything can be a priority, but unfortunately, stakeholders will think their features that they want built are the most important, because that's naturally how a lot of people do think in business. So we actually perform prioritization to keep things realistic. Now, there are many prioritization systems out there. One I talk about in my book is the Moscow system, which I won't go into here. But what the prioritization systems do is help your team keep focus and moving forward without getting overwhelmed or burnt out. Because the values and principles of Agile do dictate that the team work at a sustainable pace, okay, so they don't get burnt out. The product owner will have to deal with balancing conflicting priorities quite a bit, but tough decisions do have to be made. And what you need to remember as a product owner is that it's okay to say no, because if feature B by a particular stakeholder happens to be one that customers are screaming out for and it's causing all sorts of problems, and the contact center is being overwhelmed by issues, then feature D might have to wait, because feature D is something that is a nice to have, we know will increase sales, but the business might decide that it's actually better to fix feature B first, okay? So it's all these sort of logical decisions that come into play here, and the product owner needs to drive that. So mastering the art of prioritization also means you have to adapt to changing conditions, which is inevitable these days, okay? The landscape is always shifting, and being able to pivot and constantly reprioritize is essential when new information comes in, okay? Or when market conditions change. So this is actually what sets good product owners apart from the rest. Tip number 4, encourage the Agile team to be self-organized. Okay, so this is about not micromanaging the Agile team as a product owner. This is important because as product owner, you're providing the vision and the direction for what needs to be built and prioritized. You're not actually telling each Agile team member what they need to be working on any particular day. That's for the team to work out themselves, because the team will have different skill sets that they can volunteer for certain tasks, okay? So the team is best placed to make these decisions about what tasks are worked on by whom. And this is important too, because the product owners are often shared amongst different Agile teams building different products. So it's impossible for a product owner to be across every little thing that the team is doing, okay? So this is where trust comes into it as well. So as a product owner, you should trust your Agile team after giving them the right direction to go off and actually volunteer for the tasks that they think they'll be able to perform best, and trust them to do it, because we're going to be checking with them daily on any issues in the stand-ups, and we'll see the product demonstrated at the end of the iteration in 1, 2 to 4 weeks. So any issues will come up then. This all means that there's less reliance on the product owner, and they're freed up to do that more strategy and the holistic view of how everything needs to fit together. So tip number 5 is communicate effectively and be very clear. Okay, this is vital for obvious reasons, because not only do the product owners need to guide and provide that vision to both the team and a lot of the stakeholders in the business, but they do need to be on top of all the changes that come in with technology, with the competitive environment and the market. And of course, when change happens, people need to be very clear about what that change is, and very quickly, okay? So you need to convey your ideas succinctly, whether that's verbally or whether that's visually, or whatever means is most effective to get that message across. So lack of clear communication, if that results, will mean misunderstandings and misaligned expectations, which will ultimately lead to the wrong thing being built, and rework will need to be done, which actually costs a lot more money, okay? So as I mentioned earlier, to overcome this, make sure that these regular cadence of communication catch-ups and face-to-face meetings, the stand-ups, the meetings with the business to demonstrate the product are actually happening, okay? And that everyone's on the same page. Tip number 6 is be data-driven. Don't just go on a gut feel or a whim, okay? Look at the analytics from the analytics team, or look at the actual customer feedback we've got. Listen to recordings of the contact center interactions to see that temperature of the customers, whether they're angry, whether they're happy, whether, they're making suggestions for things. So we need any decision about where the product goes to be based on ultimately what customers need, because they're the ones that keep our company afloat. So last but not least is embrace continuous learning. So the tech world never stops evolving, and neither should you as product owner. So stay updated on the latest trends, the tools, the best practices in product ownership and agile or iterative ways of working. Attend workshops, read books, take online courses, follow Instagram pages, do whatever you need to, but learn and follow what's happening in the market. So this will not only improve your skills, but will also give you that competitive edge, which will set you apart. So all these challenges can impact the project significantly and can feel pretty daunting at times. So make sure that you take these online courses, webinars, read books. Surround yourself with a network of other product owners, either in your organization or in the market. For instance, join a meetup group online of product owners and agile practitioners in communities of practice, where you're sharing experiences and strategies as well. I'm part of a few that I attend on a regular basis, and I love being able to share problems I've had with others to educate them, as well as hear other people talk about the sticky spots they've got themselves into and how they've managed them. Okay, what's worked, what's not worked. So that community sense will actually allow you to learn from others and avoid problems coming up when they do. So this is actually why I wrote my book, Understandable Agile for Everyone, because I saw a lot of agile mispractices, people misunderstanding agile, and it is about misunderstanding and not understanding properly, not doing that research into what agile is. And it's not difficult. It just takes a bit of practice to get right, but you need a good foundation for it. So in my book, I build up the concepts from the ground. So I use very relatable examples to explain the values, principles, and the methods. And I do it in a way where I pepper it with lots of visuals, lots of diagrams, because I know some people are visual learners. I'm certainly a visual learner. But I also use a lot of tips as well from my own work life in Agile, and how to avoid those particular situations and what you can do to mitigate them. And that's very important. So I've actually got the book available on Amazon, paperback, as well as a number of platforms on ebook version if you prefer electronic. So I've got the links down below in the comments. So please check it out and recommend it to anyone you think might be able to learn from it. So if you've liked this video and you've learnt something from it, subscribe to my channel Digital Skills with Andrew, like the video, share it with people that might benefit from it, and until the next one, stay informed.